2 years ago, I used to upload daily videos on my YouTube channel where I was averaging in between 25 to 30,000 views. That would be over 800,000 of unique views on my YouTube channel each month. The reason why that was possible is because I hired the editor, Duki, the trapper now, that used to work for me. He was editing the videos from the footage that I recorded on my live streams on twitch.tv, where I had over 1100 paid subscriptions. Back then, thanks to your support, I've also opened my own printing studio so I can sell the best possible merchandise to my community. So I had to hire one more person that is gonna take care of that part. I do not like to repeat myself, dear Skra, and I really do not like to flex. But if you're new here, those details are really important in the video later on. The community that we built used to be one of the strongest communities that I've ever seen. It was not even a community, to be honest. It was more of a cult. I had more diehard fans with my 100,000 subscribers than most content creators with millions. But there was a problem. I was not happy with the quality of my streams and the videos. It was really scum. I was doing my best with the visual presentation, but no matter how good my Photoshop skills were, it was just not it. Then, I decided to take a break from the streaming and the YouTube so I can learn the basics of 3D modeling to improve the quality of my content. I wanted to learn the basics of Blender. You know, move cube here, scale it down, copy-paste a random texture from the internet and we'll be good to go. The plan was to take a break from streaming and the YouTube for 2 months to gain enough of the knowledge for the scenes that I wanted to make, and to be honest, it was enough. But there was a problem. The more I was learning Blender, the more I realized that I fucking suck. That thing that I just described to you is called Kruger effect. When I started to learn Blender, everything felt fine and dandy. The learning curve felt really good. I was watching tutorials and I was kinda getting the results that I wanted. Because when you're new to something, you always have that excuse. I'm still new. In the next couple of weeks of learning, it will look great. It was the peak of my confidence and knowledge. I was the happiest person alive. I still didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was still confused why that texture that I downloaded from the internet looks so great over there, but when I put it in my project, it looks like dog shit. I didn't know why is my Blender crashing and the scene has 5 FPS, but who cares? The scene was looking great and that was the only thing that matters to me. And this is the first scene that I successfully rendered. This is the first time where I felt accomplished. During that time I wanted to step it up even more, because there is never enough to me. And I had a plan. I wanted to add a little bit more of a dynamic to my scenes, where the camera angle changes here and there, so you can feel the ambient and the space of 3D, because it still felt like a PNG image. Or for example, when somebody subscribes, the light goes red or whatever. But to render that scenario that I just described to you, I would have to render the same thing 4 times, 2 for different camera angles, 2 for different lights. And then, with some smart trickery, glue everything together. And I was capable of doing that. But there was a problem. I love to be efficient with my time, and the rendering projects in Blender at that time took me ages, and it was pissing me off. Because when I wanted to render something, that PC was not available. This means I cannot stream, I cannot record videos, I cannot play video games, I cannot do anything. So when the things were rendering, I was watching tutorials. And the worst part about all of this is, if I wanted to change something or if I screw something up before I clicked render, I had to re-render everything all over again, and that would cost me a lot of time. So I reached up to Andrei Levensky, the co-founder of Skunk Game, to give me some advice. I did not know exactly what I wanted, but I knew how it should look like. So I said, Leva, listen, I have this crazy idea and it has to happen. The plan is to have a real-time environment where I can switch the cameras in real time, and where I can add or remove things on the fly. And he said, oh yeah, you can do that in the Unreal Engine. Look up how Mandalorian is doing it. That was the first time where I finally discovered the name of the thing that I wanted to achieve. The name of my vision. And I found out that there is actual community that is already practicing and doing it. The thing that I want to accomplish is called virtual production. You need an army of experienced people and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment to make it look good. I didn't care though, as you can see. I was extremely happy because I finally had a name, a keyword to search in Google that will actually give me results. So when the scenes were rendering, meanwhile I was learning Unreal and Blender on the another PC. That was the time when I realized that I'm actually at the tippy top of my ignorance, not knowledge. And with that realization, my confidence started to drop drastically because I started to understand why it takes so long to render something. Why that texture does not look like it on the website. My morale was crushed, but you see, when I want something, I will get something. Seriously, ask my ex-girlfriend. It took 7 months of me sleeping in front of her doors for her to finally concede and accept our relationship. 11 beautiful years, by the way. I wonder why that did not work out. But anyways, I started by learning about the polycount, what baking is, what UV unwrapping is, how textures are working. I realized that I had to do way more clicking than what the original plan was. And at that point, I started by purchasing a bunch of different add-ons and the plugins to speed up my workflow. I was watching tutorials day in and day out. I wake up, tutorials. I eat, tutorials. I go to sleep, tutorials. I'm sleeping, brain absorbing, tutorials. And if you were thinking that I was just watching tutorials about Unreal and Blender, you're wrong, because texturing in Blender sucks. And I was watching tutorials about Pixel Mixer, so I can texture properly. And if you were thinking and that's it, oh no. I also had to watch tutorials and learn about the plugins and the add-ons that I purchased. And let me give you a little bit of a context on what type of add-ons I was dealing with, okay? There is a YouTuber called Josh Gamrell. He made a video called Complete HardOps Tutorial for Blender. The video is 46 minutes long and I found that video to be extremely helpful. But there is a person that was not that happy with Josh's video. His name is Master Zion1001 and he is the author of HardOps plugin that Josh was covering. I think that he was not happy with the keyword complete in his title, so he made a similar video where he was briefly explaining about every single feature that HardOps has to offer. He made a video that is 8 hours long. I watched it multiple times. There are still things to this day in that video that I have no clue what the fuck was he talking about. The amount of the information that my brain was taking in during that period was nuts. And to be honest, in a lot of situations, there was a lot of things that were completely unclear to me, so I had to pause the certain tutorial, go watch the new one, so I can roughly understand the tutorial that I watched previously. And the rabbit hole was going deeper and deeper. During that period, I started to have burnout. I was burning like a motherfucker, and don't be mistaken, I'm still having a burnout because I desperately want this to work. Although there is a good news. I had a cure for it. Every time when I had a burnout from Blender, I was learning and working in the Unreal Engine. And every time when I had a burnout from Unreal Engine, I was learning and working in Blender. And every time when I had a burnout from Blender and Unreal Engine, I was learning and working in Pixel Mixer. And every time when I had a burnout from Blender, Unreal and Pixel Mixer, I started with taking drugs. I'm kidding, I'm not taking drugs. Do I look to you like I'm taking drugs? Are you taking drugs? Who is taking drugs? Somewhere at that time, I finally finished my first attempt at the virtual production. I called it Hangar 46. I was proud of my achievement. And in theory, this is exactly what I wanted. I did achieve the real-time, fully dynamic environment where anyone can trigger literally anything and I'm the almighty one. Although, that was the beginning of my end, because in practice, it was not that practical at all, because I did not know how to code. And I was in a heavy time crunch. I'm not streaming. I'm not making YouTube videos. The plan was 2 months. It's been a year now, so I was forced to use the things that I've learned up to that point. Now, let me give you a couple of words about learning and working in the Unreal Engine, okay? It was at least 3 times harder than learning Blender because the things that I wanted to achieve in the Unreal Engine are way too specific. You need to know exactly what you're doing, or else you're going to have problems that are ungoogleable. And even if you find them on Google, do not expect too much. Firstly, the Unreal community is way smaller than the Blender community. In the other words, there are fewer people that can help you out because the person that knows how to fix your problem is not making YouTube videos. He's earning tens of thousands of dollars in a AAA company or in a professional virtual production studio. Secondly, Blender and the Unreal Engine are completely different softwares with different approaches and a different workflow. There was not that much of my knowledge that I could carry over. Thirdly, every single time when I updated the version of the Unreal Engine, it broke something in my project and I didn't even know from where to start with fixing. Do you remember the Kruger chart that I showed you earlier? Yeah, I traveled back in time all the way in the beginning, at the tippy top of my ignorance, just with the Unreal Engine this time. I'm gonna give you the example of Unreal Engine in a nutshell for me when I started with learning it. I wanna start the live stream. I fire the Unreal Engine and 3 minutes later, crash. I relaunch Unreal Engine, 3 minutes later, another crash. I was supposed to start the stream 15 minutes ago. I guess I won't stream today. I have to figure out the solution or else I cannot continue with my work. 1 week later, after countless Google searches and battle cries, I finally find the solution to why my Unreal Engine was crashing. There was that one random checkmark in the project settings that was supposed to be toggled on, not off, and after toggling it on, everything was working again. It was fixed for full 15 minutes. And then there was the another brick wall directly in front of me, and here we go again, trying to find solution for my new problem for the another week. But you see, the Unreal Engine didn't know with who it is dealing with. No matter how many brick walls there were in front of me, I kept going. No matter how many crashes tried to crush me down, I kept going. No matter how many things the new version broke in my project, I kept finding the solution. Burned the fuck out, but I kept going. Let me repeat, if I want something, I will get something. No matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes. Although, realistically, when I step out of my delusional dystopian bubble, it kinda does matter at the end of a day. The plan was to learn the basics of 3D modeling in 2 months. Those 2 months turned into 2 years. And from this, I ended up with a dead channel that gains around 5,000 views per video, 50,000 unique views each month, 100 paid subscriptions on Twitch, inactive printing studio with inactive website of course, where I had to fire 2 people because there was no job for them, and of course, barely any fanbase left. And there is only one person to blame for all of that. My dad for creating a heavy PC addict out of me when I was really young. With the rough calculations, learning Blender and Unreal Engine for the past 2 years to achieve this point from the scratch costs me around $250,000, and it will take months to recover from this, possibly even a year. There is one thing that people do not realize about my profession as a content creator. Content creators like myself are building their communities for years, and it takes a couple of months of inactivity to become completely invisible and completely irrelevant. And it is not just that I lost a bunch of money, diehard fanbase and growth. I also lost thousands of hours of gaming experience in the games that I am playing so I can create better content. The reason why I'm saying all of this is because I wanna have this documented and archived as a milestone in my life. Because in the next few years, I will wanna go back to this video and rewatch it. And now, when you know at least one fraction of the context of where I was for the past 2 years, I think it is finally time to show you the place from where I will be creating the content moving forward. Oh, and by the way, if I take a sponsorship offer from the sex shop website promoting flashlight on steroids for grown-ups with myself showcasing the product on my OnlyFans in the near future, don't be too surprised, okay? Welcome to our new home, from where we'll be creating tons of content moving forward. I bought 7 apartments in this ghetto complex, broke all of the floors and walls, and built this smart baby out. It does not look smart at the first look, but trust me, there is a lot of cool, nifty things that are already wired up. It is running on the Unreal Engine 5, of course, with the latest version 5.0.2 with the Nanite, which means it can handle millions of polygons without taking any major FPS hits. Lighting is in Lumen, global illumination is in Lumen, and of course reflections are in Lumen. And it will look even better in the next version 5.1, which is around the corner, and it will most likely definitely break half of my shit again. But anyways, anti-aliasing is on DLSS. Every single light source is fully dynamic, including the sky, which means there is literally zero baking and where I can change everything on the fly. Oh, and by the way, I'm running all of this on RTX 2080 with 8GB of RAM, and that is not enough. After I stand on my feet again, I will be purchasing better graphics card, and that better graphics card will not go in my gaming PC, so Tarkov runs better. 3 3090 Ti's cannot help Tarkov's netcode, but one 3090 Ti can do miracles in this crack headquarters. I also have to upgrade my webcams. I'm recording all of this with 3 different types and brands of the webcams that are like 10 years old each. I had to revamp 90% of the things that I previously built because I did not know how to code. Now I know how to code, and I became really cocky with it. My complete workflow from a default cube in a Blender through texturing in a Marmoset all the way to importing and optimizing it in the Unreal became really efficient. Don't get me wrong, there are still things that I have to learn and there is a lot of room for the improvement, but that can wait. I have to revive this channel first and start focusing on my private life because it's a fucking mess, okay? The thing that I'm trying to say is that I will do my best not to take such a long breaks anymore. And even if something has to be done, I will do my best to stream at least a couple of hours to satisfy and Twitch and YouTube community. After 2 long and painful years, this is as closest I ever was with my vision, satisfaction, and the efficiency with the quality that I think that my community deserves. But again, all of this is still a theory and it will require a lot of practice and troubleshooting to make it look alright. Usually, I'm posting my work in progress on my Instagram and Twitter, so make sure to follow me there. And please, I need your feedback and thoughts about all of this. Was it worth it, and does the amount of my work and effort into all of this justify the final result? I have tough times with stepping out of my perspective and looking into all of this with a rational point of view. And also, I wanna give a huge shout out to Sneak for extending my contract despite my inactivity. I also wanna thank to all of my longtime subscribers, thank you for bearing with me, and also I wanna thank the Blender community and Unreal community and their developers, because without of them, all of this would not be possible. And if you're interested in virtual production, firstly, good fucking luck. And secondly, I would recommend you to watch the videos from Greg Corson. The guy has 4,000 subscribers and his channel is a goldmine. I'm hungry to play video games, and there is a lot of nuclear weaponry that is about to blow up, so make sure to subscribe with the notifications on. Oh, and by the way,